Is Backyard Stories with Mith and Nikki. I'm Mith.
I'm Nikki.
And today we are going to talk to Nikki about Nikki. We're going to get to know a little bit about this green-haired lady.
Not as green as it used to be, but I like it.
And all the hats that she wears.
Oh my God, so many.
Which does seems like to be a lot. So Nikki, how's it going?
I do it. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Are you excited to get started?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Throw it up.
All right.
Throw it out, Nikki.
So, Nikki, I know you've been in Washington for what, maybe a year? 2 years?
I moved up here 2 years ago, maybe like a few months, 2 years and a few months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Originally from?
I'm originally from the Los Angeles area, San Gabriel Valley.
Never been.
I love it. SGV. Anyone who's watching, any friends from back there who are watching this or listening, they'll hopefully get a chuckle out of that. It's very different than Washington. It's kind of like, you know how you may always love your childhood home, but you don't want to live there again.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about LA. I love LA. I grew up there. It has a special place in my heart, but it is not for me. So, but I do try to go back at least like once or twice a year. Most of my family is down there. My sister's there. She just had a kid this year. So trying to go back to see him as he grows up. He's like 4 months old right now.
Wow.
And yeah, all my aunts and uncles are there. My cousin just had a kid too. Mm-hmm. But the reason I moved up here is because one of my cousins lives up here. Actually, two of my cousins. But the cousin that I've always been closest to lives here, and she had been trying to get me up here for about 15 years.
Wow.
And I was always like, yeah, one day. Before this, I was a park ranger, so I moved all around, and I just thought, oh, one day I'll get a job at Olympic or Mount Rainier or North Cascades or something, and I'll be up here. And that didn't happen because everyone wants to work up here because it's so beautiful. And then I was like, I could just move without having a park job. So I did that 2 years ago, and I love it.
You said, I think you told me the other day that you thought that was everybody wanted this job, but then you talked to a park ranger and he said or she said that they're always hiring?
Oh, yes. I went to Olympic for the first time the summer I moved here.
Yeah.
And a friend was visiting from the UK, so we drove out there and we did some camping, and then we went on Ranger Talk, and afterwards I was like, I have to ask you, I worked in the parks for 5 summers, and I always wanted to work here, and almost every ranger I worked with wanted to work at Olympic, and no one knew anyone that ever worked there, which is weird because the park service is so small that you always meet someone who knows someone who knows someone. Yeah. And, you know, your paths cross and everything. You work in the parks for 5 or 6 summers and you know 90% of the rangers because everyone's moving around. Anyway, I was like, is it just that people don't leave this park? Is it like they love it and they just stay? And she was like, no, we're always short-staffed. We always need more people. And I was really shocked by that because I was like, I know people who were dying to work here, and no one ever gets an interview here, and we don't know why. So
well, now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah, but maybe it worked out in your favor, right? Because you got into your own business, which we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
Here. But the fun fact about you, that you are a
triplet. Yes, I'm a triplet.
Yeah.
Which we talked about in the last episode.
Right.
But if you didn't listen,
how was that journey?
Fine.
Actually, like I have twins, you know that, right? I think a lot of people do, but being a triplet, it's unique, right?
Yeah.
Are you the oldest or the middle one, or how was it growing up with? I'm guessing you and your sister and a brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the middle one.
Oh, you're the middle. Oh, wow. Okay, so you were the forgotten one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh man, my brother is the oldest, quote unquote.
By a minute.
By a minute. My mom had a C-section, so it just depends on. I don't know how C-sections
That's how
work,
it is.
But I assume it's whichever one's the closest to the opening they grab first.
Yeah.
So, So yeah, my brother was always embarrassed to be a triplet with two girls, and he would say that we were cousins. And it was fine. It was like, whatever.
Maybe he's listening. I mean, he'd be like,
he's
okay,
not.
he's not.
He's not. He's not. It's fine. I can say whatever. No, I'm just kidding. And yeah, so he would always say that we're cousins, and my sister and I, like, kind of got along. Mm-hmm. She was really, really quiet when we were growing up, so, like, it was a lot of me trying to get her out of her shell. Mm-hmm. But we all had kind of the same friends because we were in the same grade. I'm sure your kids did the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I think people, like, I don't know. It was interesting because as we got older, I was the one who always wanted a birthday party, and then, like, they wouldn't want one, and then the last minute, my mom would be like, "You have to invite their friends too. You have to let them." And I was like, I told them they could invite people, but now I've spent a month planning this, and they haven't done anything, and I would get upset. But it's fine. I was a
middle
teen.
child.
Yeah. But yeah, it's people when it's the fun factor I like to share whenever I'm doing icebreakers. For, you know, any sort of icebreaker that you have to do. If I can't think of anything, I'm just like, well, I'm a triplet. And everyone always asks, what was that like growing up? And I'm like, well, what's it like to not grow up as a triplet? I don't really know what it's like. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, people ask me, how is it to have twins? Kids. I'm like, I don't know. That's all I got, twins.
What's it like to not have twins?
Right? Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah. I really like to travel. I've kind of been traveling since as long as I could. My family doesn't like to travel, and I don't know where I got it from, but I have gotten to the point where I kind of set up my life so that I can be anywhere, which is part of why I don't have a house yet, even though I'm in mid-30s. I was like, no, I don't want that. I want to be able to go anywhere at any time. And that's part of why I started my own business, was so that I could, you know, work from anywhere, like digital nomad, right? Yeah, so I don't know, I'm kind of always thinking of the next place I want to go. I think the next place right now for me is to see the solar eclipse in 2026. Yeah, I love to travel. I don't know. I mean, some people watching this or listening may know, if they know me, or they know that I went to Japan for 5 weeks last year because I was burnt out and just needed to, like, get away from it all. But I did do some work while I was there. And my cousin was like, why are you working? Stop working. You're in Japan. Go do something.
Well, let's dive into a little bit about your, tech business here. Yeah. So, how did you start it? Yeah. And why did you start, actually?
Why did I start? Why I started is kind of somewhat related to how I started. So I'll start there. When I was a park ranger, I was a seasonal, meaning I worked from April to October for the most part. And that's when most of the rangers you meet work, because that's when everyone's on vacation and going outside. And I finished my first season in upstate New York, and I came back to LA and said, I need to find something to do. And I was looking for things to, like, pad my resume, and I learned about coding. And the only coding I had ever really done was, like, the MySpace days when, you're tweaking your image sizes and stuff and changing colors, and that's all I really knew. And I started learning coding on Khan Academy, and I was like, this is kind of hard, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I like the problem-solving aspect, and I think I was missing that from the parks, was I like problem-solving, which for the parks, you didn't have a lot of that. It was a lot of educating and taking people on hikes and going in classrooms and stuff. So I started to learn how to code, and after a while, I was like, okay, my goal is to do tech for a while. I'm going to quit the parks, do tech for a while, and then eventually I'm going to do work in the parks in the summer, and then in the winter I'll do tech, and that'll be perfect. And then COVID hit,
of course,
and it kind of threw a wrench in my plans. But the silver lining to that was that a lot of people were putting their e-commerce or their stores online and starting to sell things on e-commerce platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce and stuff like that. And so I got hired as a freelancer for a couple of those gigs and was able to help some people build these websites out for these companies. So I learned a lot there because I'm a self-taught developer. So I was doing everything by myself. So it was really nice to finally work with other people and learn from them. So I was doing a lot of freelance work, and then that kind of started to dry up. So I was like, okay, let me start applying for jobs. And applying for tech jobs is horrible. I was working 40 hours a week for about 4 months on just job applications and tests and interviews and tests and interviews and more tests and learning more things. And it was exhausting. I was making no money because it was all like 3-hour tests in an interview.
What test?
They would test you to see what your coding skills were, but it was oftentimes like things you would never use in the job or things that like the people that were interviewing you didn't even know. So there's a lot of controversy around that. It was horrible. I ended up finding a job through Twitter with UC Davis, which was cool.
Yeah.
So I did that for 6 months, and I was very grateful to have that opportunity. But then I was like, you know what? If the Meta layoffs had happened at that point too, so I was like, it's too hard to get a job if I'm competing with people who have like Facebook on their resume. So I decided, you know what? I did freelancing for a while. I know how to do this. I'm going to find my own clients. Easy peasy. I know how to code. They're going to want me to build them a website. And then I quickly realized...
How's that been?
There's a lot more that goes into finding clients and selling yourself. I feel like I've grown a lot in the last 2 years. When I started, I was like, I don't want to charge people. I feel bad. I'll just help you for free. I'll build you a website for free. It's fine. And then I was like, I can't. This is not sustainable. I need to charge for my services. So I've grown a lot in the last few years. It was hard. And now a word from our sponsor, Mortgage Myth.
If you're looking for someone to guide you through the journey of buying home, doesn't matter if it's your first home or your fifth home, I have a person that can help you, educate you, and guide you through the process. Contact me at mortgagemyth9 on Instagram.
To learn how to, like, you know, imposter syndrome is so real, and it was hard to get to the point where I felt comfortable with charging people for my services and actually like valuing the work I do. So that was a huge learning curve. And now I've found this gap in the market where no one is really doing stuff. It's either, you know, you have $0 and you're DIYing your website, or you have $5,000 or more to spend on a developer and a designer to build you a website. But there's not really much in between. So I'm trying to fill that gap. And I'm doing a lot of that with a lot of local people who just need some guidance, or who like are like 70% of the way there, and I help them get to the final
To the completion.
To completion.
The finish line.
Yeah, to the finish line. There you go. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. I think a lot of my clients are coming from in person. So, you know, it's nice to get out there.
If you could give someone an advice, right? Or if you could give yourself advice, let's just say when you first started to now, right? So take yourself from now and giving yourself advice, what that advice would be.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is I was kind of blocking myself from success. And I think a lot of people do this, is they are kind of, the barrier is their own fears and their anxieties and their imposter syndrome. And I think for me, I was learning to code, and everything online said, you can get paid to learn to code. Like, you have to do this and this and this. And I was like, no, I don't know enough. I have to be really, really, really good before people will pay me, or before I feel comfortable asking people to pay me. And then by that time, it was kind of I was way ahead of the game. And I also realized that there were things I was learning that I didn't know was the wrong things. So I think, number one, don't be in your own way. And number two, like, learn from other people who have been there. Otherwise, you're reinventing the wheel, and it's already been invented. So
yeah, work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And I always say work smarter, not harder. And then I struggle to follow it sometimes because I'm like, oh, I want to save money. But sometimes, you know, paying for services and help is gonna super jumpstart your career.
Yeah, and value yourself, right?
Yeah.
And your work.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, because everyone's looking for discount. But again, you gotta value yourself. You have to put a standard. I mean, if you continue giving discounts or whatever that is, freebies, people are like, oh yeah, you know,
Yeah.
just there. Let me just go get that from her.
Yeah.
Not valuing you and your
Yeah.
work, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't know how hard it is to, code and build a website. When people think of you, you want them to say, oh, Nikki does a great job and she needs to be paid for her time, right? Because your website designer could potentially be 10,000 plus, right? It could easily, but people don't think that, right?
No.
And so how are you overcoming that? I know you say in the beginning you had issues. How are you overcoming that?
Yeah. I'm trying to do more education. A lot of people who have never tried to build a website think, there's Squarespace and Wix and stuff, so why should I hire someone to do it? I can just do it. And then they start doing it and they see how big of a project it actually is.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do more education there. I think for some folks that might be like me who
Yeah.
are, try to do things at a lower cost if I can. I'm learning how it's important to invest in yourself and your business. But people who might be like, no, actually, I'm going to be in charge of the website. I think sometimes they just have to kind of try it and see that, if you want it done right and if you want it to actually be helping your business, then you do want at least some guidance from an expert. But I'd say 90% of the people who come to me say, I'm so frustrated, I'm spending all my time doing this.
Yeah.
It's taking forever. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm sick of it. I don't even know if it's working.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of trying to just like educate people and guide them, which is why I do a lot of my smaller services, because I don't want you to feel like, all this work you did put in is going to be thrown away if you don't want to throw it away. And I think a lot of people are worried about that. So I meet people where they're at and I'll tell you like it is. I'm not going to try to like get a buck out of you. I'm going to tell you as it is. If you need a new website, I'll tell you. If I think that's salvageable, then we can guide you on how to move things around. Maybe take a few hours of your time to move things around strategically, and it's going to really elevate the experience that people have on your website.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
It does.
I went
Hopefully
off
it
topic
does.
a little.
It does for everyone else out there listening and, wanting to know the service part of it, right? Because you told me like maybe it takes maybe a couple months to build a website sometimes.
I just wrote a blog on this, and I just did a YouTube video on it last night, but according to Wix, it can take anywhere from 1 to 6 months to build a website. And I think Forbes posted that it takes like an average of 5 to 10 weeks to build a website. Wow. So, there's different stats out there.
Yeah.
It really depends on what your business is, what you want on your website, how custom is it going to be, and how templated is it going to be. Templates are totally fine as long as you have some strategy. You can totally use templates and save some money and time there. I have gotten it to the point where I've kind of streamlined what I do, and it takes me roughly 4 to 6 weeks to build a website from scratch, depending on how much work the client has done already. Like if they have a brand, 4 to 6 weeks. If they don't have a brand, it might be a little longer.
Yeah.
It all depends. But I've been able to streamline the process that I use to make it faster for people.
All right. A couple of last questions for you.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to start a business, which you're a brand new business owner, what advice would you give them?
I think it would be the same advice as before, which is don't block your own path to success. There's a lot of people out there who've already done this, so learn from them. And one thing I see is that a lot of people get really excited. They're like, I'm going to start a business. We need a logo and a website. And I'm like, hold your horses. There's so much more to do. So I actually have a new resource that is currently free, but by the time this comes out, it will probably be paid, probably like $20 or something. Nothing crazy. But it's talking about how your website should be growing with your business. And when you first start out, all you really need is like a link tree, which is... If you don't know, it's where you can have one link in your bio, in your Instagram bio or whatever, and it has your list of links. So you can put your contact, any freebies you have. If you are a podcast, you can have a link to your podcast. You can have a link to, booking a call with you or whatever, a portfolio. That's all you need to start, because you really need to build up your business and your brand and figure out what you want to do and what people want from you before you're even ready to have a full-fledged website. So don't step over your own feet. Do a little research first, test your idea, and get a few first clients. Even if you're just volunteering, it's going to give you data to realize if this is actually something you want to do.
Okay. Well, awesome. Any last words for our viewers or listeners?
Yeah. I would say that, no matter where you are in your website journey, I want to see you succeed. I know a lot of people out there already have a developer, or they're doing it themselves, or, some people that I've talked to recently work under a company, and so they have restrictions on what they can do with their website.
Right.
But if you just have questions, let's chat. I can guide you in the right direction, and we might have something for you that's gonna really amplify your business. That's only gonna cost you a couple $100, or maybe even $80 or something. Nothing like 5 figures. And on top of that, with everything I've learned in the past 2 years, I also do video editing, which is part of what we're doing with this podcast. Mith and I both have audio editing skills now. So, I'm wearing a lot of hats. I'm also trying to do a lot more tech help, because I feel like a lot of people need help just setting up their email marketing or setting up their sales funnels, or Calendly's not working. I don't know why. Or my Zoom's not working. I don't know why. Help me fix it. So trying to help people with tech issues more as well, especially since tech is in my business name, Nixter.tech. So
here's a quick word from our sponsor, Nixter.tech.
All right, whether you need a website built from scratch, you need your website problems diagnosed, or you just want the support of a developer who actually cares about your business, Nixter.tech is the place to go. We offer one-on-one services, consulting, education, and group services. So if you need someone who is going to actually care about your business and wants to see you succeed, we've got your back. Learn more at Nixter.tech. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. If you guys have questions or you want to know more about me, let me know.
And how can they reach you, though?
Yeah, they can reach me. My Instagram is nixter.tech. My website is nixter.tech. You can email me at nikki@nixter.tech. That's Nikki. And Nixter is Nikkster. Yeah, come find me. I have, like I said, I have tons of resources. I'm on YouTube. I have free quizzes on my website. I've got lots of stuff going on. I just really want to see people succeed with the website, and I know it's a daunting task. So whatever I can do to make it easier and to make it actually help you and not be a hindrance.
Yeah. Check out her Instagram. She's always posting videos on there.
It's exhausting.
It seems like almost every day she's posting something, but it's also very educational, and it has a lot of information in there. And you also have a YouTube channel. You said, what's your YouTube channel?
Nixter.tech.
All right. Yep. Everything's Nixter.tech.
Yep.
So again, reach out to her if you have any questions regarding tech related, or if you just have any questions about starting a business, honestly, she's recently have done it.
Yeah.
We are starting
this business. Yeah. I taught Mith a lot of things.
Right. So we're starting our own little business here.
And our group.
And the group thing.
We're learning.
We're
doing a lot of stuff that I've learned over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, if you need help with, podcasting as well, I mean, we've been doing a lot ourselves. She does have a lot of knowledge in the tech industry. So, let us know. Again, how they can follow you on.
Everything's Nixter.tech.
There you go. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you as our second guest.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for bigger and better things, I guess, from both of us.
Yeah. We have a lot in store, so stay tuned. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You'll be the first to know when new episodes drop, or subscribe on YouTube and you'll be the first to know when new videos drop.
And our information is? Do you want to shout out?
Backyard Stories Pod for Instagram, Backyard Stories Podcast. Our website is backyardstoriespod.com. And on that website, we'll have a sign up for our email list. So get on that and you'll get behind the scenes. You'll get notifications for the latest episodes. And then wherever you listen to podcasts, you can subscribe. And
YouTube as well.
And
be on
YouTube
there
as well. Yeah, you subscribe there if you want to watch instead of listen. And yeah, we've interviewed so many people at this
Yes.
point, and from here on out, you're going to be hearing from our guests. We've interviewed, I think, like 9 people at this point of recording, and we've got a few more to go in the next few weeks. So we're really excited to release those to you all, and we've learned a lot of cool stories. We've got a lot to share. So thank you for listening, and reach out anytime if you have any questions, tech, websites, video, or podcast.
Or mortgage.
Or mortgage. Yeah, Mortgage Mith 9.
All right. On Instagram.
Mith here. Yeah, we want to see you guys succeed in your house and tech endeavors. So we're here for you. All right. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.